Cris Collinsworth's been to a few Cowboy games, NFL analyst. It is interesting because it's so easy to criticize Jerry, right? But it's pretty I said this earlier. They're never terrible. They're always competitive. They've got good players. Like, I look at Dallas this year and I'm like, oh yeah, I could see them in a conference championship. I mean, they're always kind of viable. I never think of the Cowboys as poorly run you do their games before. Their roster, could I not argue, is a top 5-6 roster today. PFF, do you guys see it as that?
No question about it. The main thing with the Cowboys and with Jerry, they're always interesting.
Yeah.
They're always interesting. No matter what's going on around that franchise, when you have Jerry Jones as the owner, they're interesting. They're in the news. And while the Dallas Cowboys at one time might have been one of those franchises where you look back and you go, okay, they're conservative. Tom Landry's not going to say anything wrong. It's going to be perfectly done. We're in a different era. We're in the generation that everything is public. Everything is social media. Every comment that I make is broken down a million different ways on everybody's cell phones. And Jerry Jones was built for that. His franchise, his family was built for that. They know how to use it to their favor, to sell and to create new endorsement opportunities. So you can argue with the way that he does something. You can argue with the fact that they haven't won. You can argue anything you want. But when you're talking about how to run a business in today's society, just take a look at the Dallas Cowboys. They got it right.
J-Mac and I disagreed with this yesterday. I said, everybody looks at the Giants and goes, well, it's Dable. They kind of overachieved. They played the Vikings. And my takeaway is they have a star weapon. They upgraded at tight end. Dable's a brilliant offensive coach. They have literally a franchise left tackle. Great defensive front. Weaker NFC. Winnable division, although Philadelphia's got better personnel. I look at the Giants and I'm like, we do this. It's kind of like we love teams and we tear them down. In the NFC, I still think the Giants have a lot of, Daniel Jones may not be Mahomes. He doesn't lose you games. Chris, he only threw 5 picks. He knows what he is. He knows what he's not. Where are you on the Giants today?
I think it's a really interesting question. We do the Giants on opening day, so I've been watching a lot of tape. I'm going to try to go back. I'm about a quarter of the way through his season last year, and I'm going to watch them all. I'm going to figure out exactly what it is that makes Daniel Jones tick. After the first 5 games that I've seen, something like that, I would say that he is, and boy, people are going to scream when they hear this, but he plays the game a little like Patrick Mahomes. When you watch him play, it's not the first read that he typically beats you on. He is somebody who wants to pull the ball down. If it's not there immediately, he wants to create some space. He's pretty good at maneuvering up and through the hole. He only runs a 4.8. I actually went back yesterday when I was watching the tape and go, okay, is he fast? How is he getting away from these defensive linemen and edge players? He's a 4.8 kind of guy. Patrick Mahomes is about the same thing. Joe Burrow is probably about the same thing. Even Tom Brady, who wasn't a fast guy, knows how to manipulate inside the pocket. Aaron Rodgers does a great job of it in creating that extra second, 2, sometimes 3 seconds to give his receivers a chance to get open. But the one thing, and you hit on it, that I love about this team, and you're already seeing it in preseason, if Darren Waller can stay healthy, right? If Darren Waller can stay healthy, and I know he wasn't last year because I had him on my fantasy team and he killed me. But if he can stay healthy this year, you can do some things with him that you can't do with other tight ends. You can play that 3-by-1 set with 3 receivers on one side, a single receiver on the other side, and that single receiver can be Darren Waller. And Darren Waller now defensively, you've got a choice to make. Are you going to leave a cornerback over there on him one-on-one and leave the safety in the middle of the field to go help with the 3 receiver side on the other side? Or are you going to tilt your coverage and put an extra safety, play 2 deep back there, to try and help against Darren Waller. If you go one-on-one with him on the outside, with the safety on the other side in the middle of the field, you inevitably, Daniel Jones just going to throw the ball up in the air. We've already seen it. We've seen it in practice. We've seen it in games. He's just going to try and take advantage of that big body mismatch. And that's going to be something that he didn't have a season ago. Now you've got a strategical advantage on the 3 receiver side, no matter who it is over there. And I think they're better at the wide receiver position. We saw a little bit more out of Jalen Hyatt the other day, and with scoring the touchdown, Paris Campbell is going to help them out there as well. So I think that this is a team that is going to gain an advantage offensively, strategically in some ways going into this season. And it wouldn't surprise me if, in fact, Waller stays healthy, that he is the single force that changes this offense.
So there's I tend to look at over-unders in gambling because I think, I don't like Atlanta much, but the market does, so I'm probably wrong on that. They have Arthur Smith, a lot of number 1 first-round offensive picks. Denver's a fascinating one. So Sean Payton is asked to rebuild multiple things simultaneously. Rebuild Russell Wilson's confidence. Rebuild the culture. Rebuild the offensive line. That's a lot of asks in that division and in that conference. So to you, I did say the other night, Chris, Russell looks faster and thinner. He is not washed. That's nonsense. He can still play. But what is realistic? That's a lot of things to ask. Culture, O-line, confidence, AFC. What do you, if I just said to you, what are they going to look like by Thanksgiving? What's your guess in Denver?
I think they'll be greatly improved. Can they climb all the way up that ladder and go compete with the Chargers and the Chiefs? I don't know. Sean Payton's a great coach. The one thing that he was able to do in New Orleans with Drew was he was able to take a smaller stature quarterback and complete a lot of passes around the line of scrimmage. Whether it be in the flat, to the back, swing out, Michael Thomas, whoever it was, worked the interior of the field with some quick throws that set up big plays down the field. And we know that Russell is one of the best deep ball throwers in the game, right? That high arcing pass that he loves to throw. I think he calls them the moon balls that he throws. But in order to set that up the way that they did in New Orleans, they really have to operate better in the middle of the field. I never thought that Russell Wilson, whether it was his size or he just chose the mobile route to get out and escape and do different things, that was really the strength of his game, being able to sit in the pocket, 5-step drop, get the ball out quickly to the tight end, a slant, whatever it was. I never thought he saw that part of the field great. And when I saw that Sean was hired to take over in Denver, I was immediately interested to see if he can transform Russell Wilson, because he has so many other skills and so many other abilities. If he can begin to dominate that little 10-yard area of the field, now you set up other opportunities, whether it be in the running game, the deep passing game, whatever it might be. But I think that as a coach and quarterback match, that you wanted to improve something in Russell, that would be job one for me, what I would want to improve.
So obviously, PFF is something I think I talk about it every day on this show. And you created it. It's very good. I never thought about line play. I'm on it during the season, during the off season. It's your baby. You've got Pro Football PFF's fantasy punishment playoffs. You've got all this stuff. I want to talk though about the tools, the fantasy football tools, because fantasy football is gigantic. Gambling's legalized. People they want juice. They want action. So how is PFF connected to fantasy sports?
A lot. We do a lot of that in-house. Honestly, I probably spent more money with PFF on our fantasy tools this year, the mock draft simulator, the live draft assistant, all the things that we built this year, in part because I was so intrigued with the punishments that I saw from whoever lost in their fantasy league. They stick you in the back of a pickup truck, take you to your car wash, remove your chest hair. I'm like, no, I got to save my PFF people. I can't give them anything less than all the information that we have available from PFF in fantasy form. And so we've worked very hard on it. So we hope you'll go to pff.com, take a look and check it out. But it is now, you've hit it dead on that since fantasy and especially since gambling's come on board, I don't want to say my phone's been ringing off the hook, but we've had a lot of interest from a lot of big players in the space. And so we're very excited about that. And we think that we're going to really be able to help. But primarily, we serve all the teams. We have 239 teams that we work for. I didn't know 239 people played football. I mean, by the time you add up the NFL, all the college, all the different divisions of college football, USFL, XFL, Canadian Football League, whoever's playing football, we work for them. And so we get this constant loop of feedback, what the teams think is important, what we do that they think is stupid and that we got wrong. So since Neil Hornsby started the thing back in 2006 and built it up with our great football team here at PFF, that it has really become a bit of a hardened product that has been battle tested by the NFL teams, and now is getting battle tested from not just fantasy, but from gamblers and from a lot of our consumer products too.
One more question. When you were in Cincinnati, I remember you at Florida. I remember a lot about your career because I'm old enough to remember it. And Cincinnati was more of a losing culture, and then it became a winning culture. And the team that I could argue is your team is Detroit. Losing culture. And here comes Dan Campbell, and he's going to eat kneecaps, and he's over the top. And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then there's something about Dan Campbell and his likability and his relatability. He's got this Mike Tomlin sort of physical presence. Vrabel's got this. Guys play so hard. Detroit plays so hard. And you've been in that world, losing culture to winning culture. It's really hard, Chris. I mean, college, pro. Do you buy Detroit? Can they move now past? Last year, they were very interesting. But again, they're watching the playoffs. Are they you? Are they a Bengals? Can they pop? Can they get to that next level, a winning culture?
I think that Dan Campbell is perhaps, out of every coach that I've ever met, any of them, the most misunderstood and misinterpreted coach I've ever been around. It seems like the biting of the kneecaps line has stuck to him in a way that I've never seen anything stick to anybody. In reality, this guy is very intelligent. When you sit down and have a conversation, I don't know if you've had him on the show or not, but if you haven't, you should try, because you're gonna really like the guy. He's very smart. He approaches everything in a very methodical way. He absolutely adores his players. And his wife was telling me the other day that what he really loves to do is bake. I'm like, what? He said, bake. I go, like bake what? And he said, cookies and cakes. And I turned to Dan. I was like, what? Are you serious? And he goes, yeah. He goes, but the problem is I want it to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, I just take whatever I would bake and I would throw it away. But I literally would work on one recipe for an entire week. And I would keep baking until I got that right. And I go, this is a long way from biting kneecaps thing, that we all know you about. And his wife was just laughing and he was laughing. But it is, I think, fundamentally, when you get right down to it, what he has done great with that organization is he did what the Philadelphia Eagles did, and that is build an offensive and defensive line.
Yes.
And when you can start with whooping the other guy, just to go back to my Southern roots here, you come out there and you're whooping the other guy up front, you got a chance. And all of a sudden now you've got a quarterback in Jared Goff who was kind of forced into this deal, right? I mean, they basically made the Detroit Lions take him and that salary, and now he might be the answer in Detroit. And if that's the case, that this sort of throw in to a deal that you did becomes your answer at quarterback after you traded Matthew Stafford and he won a Super Bowl and all the different things that had happened. But standing behind that offensive line has added to his confidence. They've got some good players on the outside now, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You hope eventually Jameson Williams becomes a guy that they can depend on. But there is an opportunity now for this team to not just dominate running the football, but with their passing game as well. They've certainly enhanced their back end. Brian Branch has come in there. They love this guy. They think that he is going to be a tremendous safety / slot.
Yep.
CJ Gardner-Johnson has added this whole swagger to the entire defense. They really like Jack Campbell coming in there. Alex Anzalone's been a guy that's really helped them. So this is a football team that are going to play the Chiefs on opening night. We have the game. Don't forget Thursday night. It doesn't start on Sunday. It starts on Thursday night. But I think I was surprised, honestly, when they put the Lions against the Chiefs on opening night. But the more I look into the Lions, the more excited I am about the game.
Cris Collinsworth, PFF. He does a tremendous job, has for years. He has really done it the right way. Got a job in broadcasting, had a lot of different hats, outworked people, wonderful reputation in the biz, and is part of PFF, which I live on, and give him so much free publicity. I should be a shareholder of that thing. Listen.
Deal. Done.
Hey, congrats on your success. You're one of the good guys in the business. I'm really happy for you.
Back at you, Colin. Thank you, buddy.
All right, Cris Collinsworth, who was a Florida Gator down there. Came into that league, and it's like that dude can run and catch and got on some great Cincinnati teams and has a great reputation as a really good guy as well, and that matters. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.